All right, so this is episode 1 of the Social Caddy podcast. Normally I do the This Week in Golf, which is with Taylor Massey, but there's no Taylor.
No Taylor, so we can't do that.
He's on a vision quest right now in Costa Rica, whatever that means. He's living his best life, which is what Taylor does.
I won Taylor's life.
Dude, tell me, what do you know about Taylor Massey?
I don't think anybody knows anything about Taylor Massey besides he's a legend. No, first time I met him was with James Driscoll, and we were randomly out the Grand Del Mar down here in San Diego, and they were out there screwing around. And I go, "You want to go play a few holes?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got my buddy Taylor here," and he probably beat us both that day. And I'm like, "This guy's awesome," and just kept in touch ever since.
Dude, how good is he at golf? Like, people don't get it.
He's really good. He is. I mean, he played college golf, so you don't fake it playing college golf.
Yeah, he's not a scrub, but I think that his attitude's so like whimsical, it's fun. Yeah. It's just like he's literally everybody's best friend as soon as you meet him.
Yeah, he has good vibe, good presence. It's fun to be around.
Have you played a lot of golf with him?
No, I think that's probably the only time I've ever played golf with him. Totally random, but I see him everywhere, and usually places that have sand, beach, and fun places to hang out. Usually when I see him,
I'm pretty sure it'll be a Hero World Challenge again too. he just has a way of rocking up, eh? So what have you got going on? I guess is it weird for me? Like we're in this whole media world, almost like kind of. We're barely in the media world, but we don't. I'm sort of looking at this season going, man, it's already this new season again. So is there like downtime? Is there time off? Is there an off season for you?
Yeah, you know what? This year was a weird year for me. I started the year not being in any major championships or anything like that, and then started playing well, and then sort of added my schedule, and I played probably 3 or 4 more events than I ever anticipated playing this year. So took a month off, and then played this all of a sudden new season. I get done with the President's Cup, and then all of a sudden, literally the next day, the Safeway starts in Napa, and a few guys went and played it. I have no idea how they even got up for that, but it's a weird concept to have a year-round schedule. But when it's said and done, if there's sponsors out there that want to support the PGA Tour, we're going to have tournaments and to do that. But I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to play the Hero and the Shark Shootout, which are 2 events you always want to be in this time of year, and they're fun, low-key, but still serious and competitive events.
With the President's Cup, how much fun was that? Because we went and we did the whole boat party, like we rented a yacht. It was such a fun event. But, I mean, for you guys, with the Ryder Cup feels like that's the real serious deal, and then the President's Cup should have that same feeling in theory, but there's something, I guess it's just not a super competitive deal at the moment. Like, what would you, because people were saying like we need to change something about this, because it was just a pizzling. Like, you almost won on Saturday, and we were doing the podcast on the boat on Saturday, and I'm like, what are they going to do if they wrap this thing up on the Saturday?
Yeah, you know what, that was our goal, was to win on Saturday and go out and have
what
fun.
Happened what was going to be the format?
We were just going to try to win on Saturday and go out and have fun Saturday night in New York City. That was sort of our plan. But no, we didn't. Chappell and I didn't end up closing that match out. But you know what? It's one of those things. When you're winning, it's a lot of fun, and then you got the complete polar opposite of the international sides that aren't winning and aren't having any fun. And I wouldn't say don't want to be a part of it anymore, but it's fallen into sort of hard times because it's not competitive like the Ryder Cup. I think that's why you see us more serious in the Ryder Cup, because it's a lot closer. Yeah. And it's more of a competition. The international team has struggles with language barriers, people getting together and having good team unity. We don't have that problem. We had, first of all, a great young team that you could argue no other teams had come into that sort of format in that sort of form. We had, I think, 11 of our 12 players in the Tour Championship. That half our team was, almost half the field at the Tour Championship was on that American team. So, you know what, that's not, I don't think, ever been done before, and it was a great team to be a part of. And you know what, it was fun on our side, and it showed also on TV. But that other side, I wouldn't want to be part of that other side too, and I can see what they're going through when it comes down to it, because it's sort of a bummer not to, I don't know. There's some ridiculous stats. Adam Scott's only won like 4 points in the. I mean, it's some small number of points throughout his career in the President's Cup. Which I mean, he's one of the greatest players that ever played the game, and to do that, I mean, it's sort of unheard of.
So for me, like we talked about this with the boys, like me and Jeremy and Taylor. We sort of said for me, it's like it's too close to the Ryder Cup in terms of the format and the way that people approach it. And because the Ryder Cup's awesome. It's such I'm sure you look forward to the Ryder Cup every single time it comes around. So is there a way that we could make the President's Cup different, format-wise, match-wise? Do you think there's any way to... Because basically it's a carbon copy of the Ryder Cup, but with an international team instead of a European team. So how do we change that? Or can you see a benefit from changing that to just something different? Because I feel like there's an opportunity to go look, this year was shit in terms of it being a competitive deal. So what's the loss now of trying to change something, do something new?
Well, they did. Well, the international team wanted it more like the Ryder Cup. They changed the point systems to sort of rival that, and in Korea it worked out where we barely won that event, and then this year it didn't. But until you figure out that mesh of team unity, you're never going to... I mean, speaking of the Ryder Cup, that's what Europe has for all those years was those guys playing together week in and week out. Yeah, they had friends playing, they traveled together, and they had the unity. They're way better than us. And then you had now our team's coming together with the younger generation. I use Jordan, Justin, Ricky, those guys, Daniel Berger, all grew up playing together, and now we have that unity in our team room that's stronger, I think, than the European team or the international team. So until the international team figures that out, I don't think you guys are going to have a chance no matter what format you have it. I mean, you don't realize it, but you've got Adam Scott playing with Siwoo Kim or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
On paper, you got two world-class players, but you don't have a guy pumping each other up and doing that sort of thing that we can do on our team. You don't have the BS going down the fairway, what's going on, or whatever we talk about that usually is not recorded. But it's one of those things you got to have to be a successful team. And it doesn't matter what format, like I said, until they figure that out, which is going to be hard because there is a language barrier. And
so what? I just fully blanked on what I was going to say. Bloody podcast. Dude, it was I actually was going to say something fairly solid, and I just fully blanked out on it.
It'll come to you. It'll come back.
It'll come.
In the middle of something else.
So what was... Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What was how important was getting towed up in the Ryder Cup to force you guys to come together more as a team? And I guess it starts 2 years away. So was there a point where you got douched on the Ryder Cup, and then you all got together and were like, hey, maybe we have to start hanging out more, playing more practice rounds through the week? Did you start actually planning the Ryder Cup, from those years of getting kind of dominated? And has it made the PGA Tour more fun?
Yeah, well, I think I give credit to, like I said, those younger guys as Jordans and Justins and Rickies that were our friends. I mean, they went through an era where Tiger was just the most not that he didn't have friends and wasn't cordial to everybody on tour, which he was. But
there's no spring break with Tiger Woods.
No, there's no. Those guys don't hang out, or those guys all hang out on spring break and do that sort of stuff, which you can call it corny, you can call it whatever, but they are truly friends and are rooting for each other. And then you get in that atmosphere and you have nothing but to feed off that. In the years Tiger was there, and I don't know if this is true because I wasn't on those teams, it seemed like there was just there's Tiger over there, and then there's a few other people over here, and it didn't seem like there was a ton of unity. Why the Europeans had it. And even though they weren't as good as us on paper, they just had that unity, and they wanted to beat us. And we sort of took it for granted. But I think we've got that. And I don't think there was any sort of set plan or set. I mean,
it just kind of happened.
We started our task force, which whatever. But I think it has more to do with the younger guys just knowing each other and playing great golf.
And then has that made the tour more fun? Because we have to address this too. It's a bit of an elephant in the room. So East Lake.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
I walked with you.
Yeah.
Thursday, East Lake. What did you shoot?
I don't remember. I blocked that out.
Yeah. So I need to apologize.
No. Wednesday, I don't know if you saw it there. I was very ill. I
couldn't tell.
Yeah. So I didn't touch a club for Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday I got out there just to play 9 holes to play. So I wasn't feeling worth a darn pretty much all week until Sunday. So it showed the whole week that how I played. So I wouldn't get that. You just should be lucky you didn't come down with some sort of illness. That's what I was trying to do, is get Ricky sick. No.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that had to be the plan.
Yeah.
No, that's been the running joke of. So we did. I think I went Wednesday, Thursday. We did a live podcast for the first time. And Jeremy was texting and he goes, "Hey, did you see what Charlie shot?" And I was all pumped. Like, I'm a Charley Hoffman fan. I was all pumped. I was like, "Sick, yeah, what did he get?" Because I wasn't really watching it. And then he's like, "I think it was 4 over. I don't want to.
Sounds about right.
I don't want to put the juju on you." But so that's like turned into a thing now.
Yeah.
And then Ricky's like, "No, I'll see you on Thursday." So I blew my chance to hang inside the ropes with the boys. But that was a sick experience. I've been to events before, but to actually get to go behind the ropes and see the way that you guys were practicing and the different how you putting tees on the green to where different pin locations will be and the vibe that you guys have. And I think that's what I was kind of getting at with the whole President's Cup thing, is that I wonder if it was a plan like the task force deal or whatever, or it just sort of happened that you guys kind of come together. Because it seems like the tour now, like on the Wednesday, it was you, Ricky, Brooks, and DJ, and it was just a full like shit talk with the boys.
Wednesday of what? The President's Cup or
no, East Lake.
East Lake, yeah. And we go out there and have fun during those practice rounds, but it's serious at the same time.
Yeah.
We're getting our practice done, but there's a lot of shit talking going on and a lot of BS, and it's good fun. It keeps it light, but like you said, we're practicing trying to win. I mean, legitimately $10 million that week. So it's an important week to all of us, but it's a great week at the beginning of the year. If you know you're in the Tour Championship, you had a great year. Yeah,
and look, it gives me a little bit of solace to know that I didn't fuck with you to the point where you played that bad. So because the boys are giving it to me,
make you feel a little bit better.
So what's going on in the world of Charley Hoffman outside of golf? What's getting you fired up at the moment?
Well, what's getting me fired up is my flight out in the morning to Mexico. So I'm headed to Puerto Vallarta tomorrow and gonna drink some tequila and hang out with the family. And it's a family trip we take every year with my side of the family, my dad, my mom, my brother, his family, my wife, and everybody. We all go down there and just hang out for X number of days, and my parents stay longer than we do. We come back because we got some stuff going on, but it's a good trip we all always look forward to, and that's sort of what I'm looking forward to right this second.
And no golf clubs getting packed on that trip?
Clubs are not allowed. My vacations, golf clubs don't come. Most people take vacations to go play golf. I play golf all year round, so they're sitting up. They'll collect some dust, and they'll come back and for the hero at the Bahamas.
You just did the Vegas tournament where you were trying to raise a bunch of money.
Yeah.
How did that end up going in terms of like a number? And because there was a solid response that I could see through social media and obviously like the broadcast and stuff like that. So how was that in the end? Yeah,
it was great. My foundation does an event that Monday of the event, which goes to 5 specific charities. We do juvenile diabetes, cystic fibrosis, Blessings in the Backpack, Goody Two Shoes in the Shriners Hospital are the 5 charities we do a pro-am on that Monday. But then obviously with what happened October 1st in Las Vegas with the mass shooting, I decided to use the platform from the Shriners Hospital and the PGA Tour to be able to give my check back from that week. So I played halfway decent. I finished 17th. All in all, not a great week for me personally, but a great week to be able to give. It was just short of $100,000 back to the Direct Impact Fund there in Las Vegas, and it's never done anything like it that before. Being able to give it, I felt a little bit of added pressure, to be honest with you, which felt good because I knew if I made a bogey coming down the stretch or something, I wasn't affecting myself because I was never going to get that money. I was actually affecting the Direct Impact Fund, so which was great. Like I said, I had a chance coming down that back nine if I played really well to win the golf tournament, but didn't close it out the way I wanted to. And but a great week being able to raise, I think, just shy of $100,000. And then I had some shoes made, or FootJoy had some shoes made with Vegas Strong on it and some other stuff, and ended up auctioning those off. I think got around $3,000 for those. So for the week, we made over $100,000 for the Direct Impact Fund, which is real money.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I haven't really ever asked a golfer this. You're actually the first PGA pro to come on, so I guess that's why. But even just in like BS talks with the boys, but with the economics behind golf is pretty crazy, considering that you're not taking a hit. You know what I mean? There's no, like, anyone can be a golfer, because I think so many sports are dominated. Like, LeBron James is a genetic freak of nature. Like, you can't dribble all day, every day and be LeBron James. Like, there's just a factor that dude has. And then you look at all through the NFL is like that, all through basketball is like that. But golf, you can be anyone. Like, I could be a pro with my build. You know, you see dudes like Ricky.
Colton Oast doesn't look like an athlete? I mean...
you said that, not me.
No, you know, I mean, I think through the last couple
it's gotten more athletic.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten more athletic. I mean, you look at Jason Day, Adam Scott, Jordan Spieth. I mean, Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka. I mean, those guys are
legit athletes.
And I think that's why golf's gotten so competitive. The athletes aren't always going to play baseball or football or basketball. Some of them are going to play golf. So that's why you're seeing more athletes. But like you said, I mean, you could have a Craig Stadler.
Well, like Furyk's a good example. Like Mr. 58, like the lowest dude, and he's old. And like he couldn't step foot on a basketball court.
Old in a swing you'd never teach. I mean, and you look at a guy like Phil Mickelson, swings it crazy, but the guy's never really been injured. Then you got a guy like Tiger Woods that's a specimen and can barely swing right now. So you just never know what your body's going to go through and how long it's going to last. But that's what makes golf so great. Yeah,
and so with that, you have like the economics from kind of getting back to it, like. In football, it's like they're getting hit, they got CTE. There's like crazy side effects that come with a career in that game. So they do get big checks, but I mean, what's the span? I mean, it's probably like a 4 or 5 year career, if that.
The average lifespan of, I think, an NFL player is less than 3 years. And I mean, that's not very long when you think about it. You have obviously the anomaly of guys that are playing a long time in the league and making all this money, but you look how many players actually play the NFL and how short a time they're in it. It's not a very great business to be a part of.
And then once you can just get cut. You can be a quarterback like Colin Kaepernick, and his salary is like game to game, and then the salary's done. There's no.
It's not like baseball. Baseball's guaranteed money.
Yeah.
And football's not. You got to be on the team. You can get cut instantly. There's no question.
So with the golf thing, you guys are making a ton of money, good money, without getting hit and things like that. So like. I don't mean.
And there's no cap on our career either.
Exactly.
I mean, now our average golf pros, depend on how you play, but it's usually, I mean, if you're good, you're going to be out there for a bunch of years. I mean, the guys that are good are, I mean, I've been out there 12 years. I mean, the guys like Ricky Fowler, I mean, he's been out there a ton of years now. And I mean,
he's still young.
Yeah, he's still young. I mean, you got young guys coming out at 20-something now instead of, everybody used to say your prime was 30. Now it's not that anymore. Your prime's in your mid-20s now. And these guys are ready to play golf and ready to play successfully. And
so with that charity thing is not, I don't want to sound bad, but it's like, is there almost a sense of like, not guilt's probably the wrong word, but like obligation to, okay, we've got this career where we don't get beat up, and we make really good money. So, because golf, to me, one of the best things about it is it's super focused around charity. So there's the economics are huge in terms of like what the PGA Tour would make or generate dollar-wise, the sponsorship. It's the biggest sponsors in the world. It's the Rolex, it's Mercedes, it's HSBC. So do you guys feel a sense of just like obligation to give back? Because it does seem from the outside in, obviously nothing's easy. It's not, it's not a cakewalk for anybody, but do you feel an obligation to really give back because you're in a position where you can make money over a long period of time? You've got a good platform. Is that one of the better things about being a professional golfer?
Oh, there's no question. I think it's sort of ingrained on us. Once you get on tour, you see so many people giving back, so many people having their foundations, and then seeing what the tour, how much money the tour actually gives back to each city every week we go into. The economic impact of the PGA Tour week in and week out, it's staggering. I don't know the exact numbers, but how much with hotels and food and travel, how much we actually generate that week. That's just on tourism revenue, and then we give back to X amount of charities. And that's what people don't understand. We give back to a ton of charities just locally, usually every single week. It's not like, we'll say, the NFL and United Way. They give back to one big charity. We give back to thousands of charities year in and year out. And our numbers, that's why, I mean, approaching, I think, 2 billion or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but I mean, it's a lot of money going back to the local economy each week and local charities. And but it's ingrained in us. It's not something that I don't think we feel like we have to do because of the amount of money we make. It's just sort of what the game of golf does. It gives back, and you can play it for a long time. And I think that's sort of how I was raised. Being able to play with the older people and understand the etiquette of the game of golf is sort of instilled at you at a young age, and that's why it's successful as of now. But golf's in a tough spot with how long it takes, and it's not with kids and instant gratification nowadays. It's in a very tough spot because it takes 4.5, 5 hours to play golf, and not a lot of people have that any longer.
And it's just so hard, like for a dude to pick up, like my housemate is a perfect example. He's going to the range with me. Obviously, I try and get out as much as I can. And I have days being completely bogus. Yeah. Like I have no business even being on a course some days. Some days I can play good. Yeah. But so like for me, I put effort into my golf. Yeah. And I'm lucky to have a bit more time because I'm trying to like create a business around golf, and sort of it's in my best interest to now be a better golfer. Yeah. But for the average dude that to even just like pick up a golf club, or I want, when I have kids, I want to teach my kids how to play golf. And I'm just thinking like, if it's this hard for me, so I think golf faces a bunch of challenges on a bunch of different levels, not even through the time factor. It's just super, super hard. And it's...
And expensive. Hard and expensive. I mean, there's a lot of things going for golf. I think... golf may have grown a little bit too fast during the Tiger era. We're opening golf courses and so on and so forth, people adding, but I think it's coming back to where it's going to hit its niche again and sort of find where it belongs. And I wouldn't want to call it an elitist sport, but it takes a lot of money to play golf. And with the first tees and all that, those organizations now starting up, I think you're getting the inner city kids and the young kids that can't afford golf also an opportunity to play. And hopefully it grows. It's not as of right now. It might have grown too fast and might be coming back to where it should be. And hopefully my kids and their generations after will love the game of golf just like us. I mean, there's like lots of, water issues, land issues. You got. There's a lists and lists that go on that aren't good for golf. But the most important thing, we've got good people playing golf, good young generation of good kids coming up playing golf that represent the game the way it should be. And I think that's why the PGA Tour is doing so well, because sponsors want to be involved in that.
I think I've got a bit of a theory, and tell me what you think about this. I think that golf is better now than in the Tiger era. Obviously, in terms of, I think on a few levels, right? Because when I was watching back when Tiger was doing his thing, it seemed like it was you either wanted Tiger Woods to win or you wanted Tiger Woods to lose. So it wasn't like I want Charley Hoffman to win or I want Matt Kuchar to win. Like, people almost didn't care who it was as long as it was or wasn't Tiger. Whereas now you don't have that one name to dominate. I think fans now are investing in more than one dude. And it was, there was one guy or the group. So it was, I think that's like a weird thing for a sport, because if you've got, like, say with football or whatever, there's multiple teams that play each other. So you've got to root for teams. It's not just a solely individual thing. I guess it could be like Kelly Slater, where if you like Kelly Slater, or you wanted him to lose or wanted him to win. So do you think golf had a bit of that through the Tiger era, where it was that kind of him and everybody else category kind of deal?
Well, yeah, definitely it was him against the world. The guy never gave up a 54-hole lead for the most part, never missed a cut. I mean, he was the phenomenon. I mean, and he brought people to the sport to watch only him. Yeah. So the TV picked up on that, which in turn they only showed him. They showed him eating bananas, walking in the fairway. They didn't show him a lot of other golf, which I would agree hurt our product a little bit, because you didn't know the rest of the tour. You didn't get to know personalities. And now without Tiger Woods, you've got to get to know Jordan Spieth. You got to get to know Justin Thomas, Daniel Berger, Patrick Reed, Ricky Fowler. You got to get to know all those guys, because TV had to show them because
Tiger wasn't there. Yeah.
Tiger wasn't there. So I agree with you. I think our product now is better, but I mean, I'd be dumb to say our product is even better when Tiger Woods involved. So I mean, like in a few weeks when at the Hero Challenge, when he's even if it's his own tournament and a funny season event, people are going to watch golf because Tiger Woods is playing, which brings us to a bigger audience, a bigger TV audience. People that don't watch golf on a regular basis will watch golf, and I think that's good for our product also. But Tiger was the person that made golf cool.
Yeah, he for sure did.
Fun to watch. So I think when his career is said and done, it'd be like a Jordan. I mean, you might have rooted for Jordan or not, and that's Michael Jordan, that is, in basketball. At the end of his career, you're going to respect everything he did and what he did for the game of basketball, and what Tiger's done for the game of golf is I don't think no one will affected the game of golf the way he did.
Yeah, and I definitely cannot wait to see the big cat back.
Yeah.
Bring back the big cat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think now it's like people are going to have a more balanced perspective, because the people that stuck around went, oh, there is these really cool personalities, and then you get the Rickies and you get the Jordan, and what they bring to the game is different. And I think you'll see, I mean, we probably even saw it at the President's Cup and Ryder Cup. Like, Tiger was more of a team dude now. I think that maybe when you get to that level, maybe you buy into your own hype a bit, and then you start to think of yourself as Tiger Woods, not Tiger.
Yeah.
So, I think that now, even with Ryder Cup, President's Cup, you're kind of just seeing him be a pretty cool dude. So I think now it's having him back will only make it better. I can't see it going back to how it was with like TV cover. Obviously, he'd have to win a lot too. Yeah. But I mean, I think the best case scenario for the sport is Tiger wins the Masters next year, or in the the next couple of years, and it just, everyone loves a full circle comeback, and that would be what it is if he can come back and win another major. Yeah,
I mean, I think Tiger, like anybody, goes through a career. He got humbled. I mean, and his body can't perform the way it used to. I'm a big Tiger Woods fan. I hope to see him back, and I hope he wins golf tournaments, and because this younger generation has never played against Tiger Woods. I mean, Jordan, I don't even know if he's played a real competitive a tournament like when Tiger was even halfway decent. So to get him back and get his presence back in golf would be just great for the younger generation to see. Obviously, Tiger's been more of a father figure in those team events and ever been a guy that showcased his talent. So, you know what, Tiger, I think, will be back. I think he will win, but he'll never be where he was in 2000. He'll be the first person to tell you that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just seasons change. Yeah. Like, it is what it is. But I seriously think that, him coming back, I'm excited for Hero. I was excited for Hero last year. Yeah. I mean, he had the most birdies in the field.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy to think of. He played, 3 rounds last year, and one of the rounds he made more birdies than anybody else. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's still no joke. Yeah. So, how old are so have you got
two girls? Two girls just turned 7 and a 4-year-old. So, both one in preschool and one in first grade.
Are they into golf at all?
My oldest enjoys going out there. When we still have a house in Vegas, and we live right in practice facility at TPC Las Vegas, and she used to go out there a ton with me. Now that we're down in San Diego full time, she doesn't quite as much. One, because she plays soccer, she does horse, she has school, and back to the time thing. There's not a huge amount of time. This summer she did some junior stuff at the golf course, and she really loved it more, hanging out with friends, which is the most important thing. That's how I got involved in golf. A friend of mine down the streets, Grandpa, used to go take us just to go hang out and have fun. I think that's what will grow the game of golf, is finding friends that will go out there and have time to go out and play golf. And so when it's in that atmosphere, not just with your dad, she really enjoys it.
And how did having kids change your career in a way? Like, because you see with Adam Scott, he had his first kid, take some time off. And then, I think any sport's so momentum based that you just build and build and build and build. Even I think everybody's golf game or sport is the same. Like, as soon as I take a couple of weeks off from not swinging, I'm rusty, and then mentally you're not where you were. So like, how did it affect? Did you have a slump or a readjustment period when you had kids? Because that's one of the most. I think even more than getting married, having kids would be the thing that changes your life the most.
Yeah. No, I got better. my time management got better. Golf wasn't quite as important. Your kids are way more important. Your wife's way more important. And I was lucky. I have an amazing wife that sacrificed a lot of things to be able to go on the road with me and travel with me. And then we had kids and took the whole family aboard. And so the last 6-7 years, they've pretty much traveled virtually week in and week out with me on the road. So I don't get that time away. Like a lot of parents, it's going to be different the next few years when they're both in school full time. We're going to still pull them out a decent amount, and but it's awesome to have them on the road. It's a lot of family support. If I go shoot 80, they don't care. If I shoot 61 and lead in the Masters, they don't care. I mean, it's just that's the way it should be, and it's easier said than done. But you do get wrapped up in the moment a lot, and having the kids, they sort of humble you out pretty quick, which is I think great for the psyche and great for my golf game. So I've really enjoyed having kids. I think the people that struggle a little more are the ones that don't have them on the road and don't have the support system that I have. So I've been extremely lucky. Now these next few years are going to be a little different, but we're gonna fight through it, and they're going to travel during the summer with me, and then during the year take them out a few weeks. But just like a few weeks ago in Cancun, we're at home. You're at Cancun and want to go to the beach, but we're in our hotel room and trying to do homework with the kids, and we still want to get a good education and be smart kids and be great in life. And so we know that just traveling around is not going to do it. And so we're going to give them a great education, good opportunity to succeed in life, and be around them as much as we can.
Well, I think that it's kind of one of those things where I don't think pulling a kid out of school for a couple of weeks at that age, like I couldn't tell you what
exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I think people, maybe culturally, people place such an important, teachers especially would place an important, like, your kid cannot miss one day of school. Yeah. But the grand scheme of things, traveling to an event with your dad, who's a professional golfer, like, there's a lot of life experience in that a kid, that's valuable.
Yeah, I mean,
culturally.
Different. Yeah, I mean, they go to Mexico with me. They went to the British Open with me. They've seen cultures that kids will never ever see. It's funny. This is sort of funny. Just what happened today. We're watching the Today Show in the morning, and there was a sign that said 15-year-old birthday, first time to New York City. And I went to my youngest daughter. I go, see how lucky you are? You've been to New York City like twice a year for the last 4 years. You've been there 8 times. And this is her first time. She goes, yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's sort of stuff like that. You don't realize the opportunity they have and the places they see and the memories they make on the road. I mean, they're well-traveled. They know how to travel. They could, I promise you, get themselves from check-in to the gate without our help. They can do it. They can take their iPads out of their backpack, take their shoes off. They know how to do it. And it's stuff that other kids will eventually learn, but at their age, they're definitely a step ahead of a lot of kids, but maybe a little bit behind on a few other things. Yeah,
well, I mean, I think that, if I have a problem with algebra right now, I just Google that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that they could probably go and talk to anybody, and I think that that's probably one of the biggest things. I'm doing a podcast with you. We're literally having a conversation, and I think that people don't place enough importance on actually being able to communicate with people. Like, how many times you hear someone say, like, "Oh, I'm awkward," and it's like, your kids will never have that. Yeah. They will never be.
Especially with technology the way it is nowadays, with most people communications via text. They don't even get up and call anybody anymore. You text somebody. I remember. Just some people talk to their phone and text. I go, why don't you just pick up the phone and call them? I mean, it's not that hard to call and talk. But my kids, it's funny. We'll be around people and families, and they're like, "Wow, they love to talk. They're not scared. They're looking me in the eye, and so on and so forth." And they don't know any better. That's just, they're not scared to be around adults. They're not scared to be around the kids. They've learned just through their young life how to communicate and be around people, for sure.
Well, you're just in the deep end.
Yeah.
When you're on that kind of thing, it's like, all right, we're at this event, and there's thousands of people around, and like, all right, Dad's got to go try and win a golf tournament. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that. Yeah, those are just the experiences that, if you can give to a kid. I had an upbringing where my parents would take me out of school for 6 weeks at a time, and we'd go into like the Australian outback. Yeah. And you'd think that that's not really a place to learn a lot of stuff because there's nothing out there. But I feel like that's the most I ever learned by going out.
Survival.
Yeah.
Survival.
Well, a lot of times.
Yeah.
But I think just, seeing different, like culturally, that's a super different place, and just getting a perspective of, even what, like there's nothing there. Like all this shit, like sitting in a building, like that wasn't there before. And there's still places where it isn't there. So, there's just so many positives that can come out of traveling with your kids and, showing them more than, you can kind of get in a classroom.
There's no question there. And I think all in all, the society understands that. The teachers we've had have been very helpful on that note, which has made our life a lot easier, not worrying about it too much. But a funny story about learning, but we get everything free on the road. So when they go on the player dining and so on and so forth, they walk in and grab a water out of the fridge and start drinking it, and they don't realize that in normal world you got to pay for that.
Someone's paid for it.
Someone's paying for it. So we're going down the airport one time, and we're like, oh, we're thirsty. We need a water. And my daughter just goes, all right, here we walks by and grabs the water out of one of those fridges and walks away. We're like, no, you can't do that. She's like, what do you mean? We do that all the time. We just walk by. And you don't comprehend what actually is going through their mind, because they've never had to pay for anything before, because every sort of area that we put them in, they get breakfast at the hotel is free, lunch at the golf course is free, dinner we may go pay, but you don't see cash change hand anymore, you see your credit card. So it's like, it's funny, little things like that you've got to learn, because they're so lucky, but you got to reinforce what real actually is.
Yeah, it'd definitely be a trip for them. And there's like I was listening to a Rogan podcast, and he was saying that all the interesting people that he knows come from like pretty weird upbringings or pretty shitty upbringings. A lot of like that kind of drives people. Yeah. So it's like, it's got to be weird for them. Like they're in a different world to what most people are as well. So it's like, they're gonna live a totally different life. So it's like to see sort of how that ends up and it impacts them, because it can go both ways when you're not. It goes
the wrong way majority often than it goes the right way. I mean, you look at the guys on tour, and I've told people this. It's usually not the country club kid that's on tour. You got a Ricky Fowler that grew up
Muni
with,
kid.
Yeah, Muni kid. Dad grew up racing motorcycles. I mean, you got myself. Dad didn't play any golf. You got Tiger Woods is a little bit outside the example, but I mean, there's not. I mean, his dad was in the military. I mean. The list goes on and on and on. You got Daniel Berger, guy's dad is a tennis player. I mean, it's not the country club kid that grew up on the country club have access to every golf course in the world. It's the guys that had to work for it. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's in life in general. And so we got to be careful with our kids the way they're going to be growing up in a very privileged life, but we got to give them some normalcy, and we try to week in and week out.
Just leave them in Mexico and tell them to find their own way home one day.
It's funny you say that. Like, we make it a point to go on a horseback riding trip every year down in Puerto Vallarta, and we take the horsebacks through the small villages, and the kids there are chasing roosters, and the clothes are hanging up on lines, and the houses don't have walls, and they look at the first time they looked at it, what's going on? I go, this is how they live. This is how they live, and they obviously appreciate it. They're going to appreciate it and understand it a little bit more by us doing that. But we make a point of trying to, with charities and helping out the underprivileged people. And our oldest daughter loves it. She goes and helps my wife do some charity stuff. And she awesome. Loves helping out everyone that she can, and being able to see open their eyes in these countries that we go to is it's something is important to my wife and I, and they'll definitely appreciate it when it comes down to it.
What was because you're from Vegas, right?
Yeah. And I'm from San Diego. I went to Vegas 1995 to UNLV, so a bunch of years back.
Yeah. So what was, I guess, your upbringing here? Like, so you got a Vans hat on right now. Yeah. So like, how much has that skate, surf, San Diego culture was that a big influencer growing up? Like, it's so hard here not to be in love with the beach and the surf.
Yeah. I can go on and on about that. You know what? I grew up being like I said, it was a friend's grandpa that started me. My parents didn't play golf at all. I played a friend's grandpa down the road took us playing golf, started playing a little bit of San Diego junior golf, and then I played baseball through till high school, played soccer through high school. But the thing I loved the most during the summers, my mom would take us once or twice a week to the beach. We went to the beach when I didn't have a soccer game or baseball game or a golf tournament. We'd go to the beach. Then I grew up skateboarding. I mean, my brother and I used to make a quarter pipe and do that in our driveway, and then we used to go take the bus to the Del Mar skate park, which is now where the surf and turf is down here in San Diego. We used to start. My brother's 7 years older than me, so when he obviously couldn't drive, so he was probably 15. I was 8. We'd jump on the bus and go down to the skate park, and that's when Tony Hawk's a few years older than me, but Tony Hawk was getting into his prime, and I mean, used to skate there all day long and take the bus back. Or mom would, when they got off work, picked us up, and it's something that was ingrained in me, was that sort of culture of surf, skate, snow. We went to the mountains as much as we could. I mean, we're lucky. I mean, you can surf, you can surf in the morning, you can play some golf, and then you go night skiing in the evening. I mean, it's something that sort of how I was raised, and I mean, I love it. I still, to this day, love going to the beach. Try to surf a little bit here and there. Don't skateboard anymore because I don't want to. Concrete sucks. But I love doing everything, and that's why I sort of turned out, I think, I'm somewhat decent athlete, because I didn't focus on one thing. I could go on and on about the youth sports nowadays are a little too specifically or too driven to one sport. The coach is telling you got to do one thing, but that's a different time or different place. But I love doing everything, like a Ricky Fowler, motorcycles and doing everything. And these young kids that just grow up playing golf are going to probably be burnt out by the time they get to the PGA Tour.
Did you get any waves on that last well or what?
No, I don't go out much anymore. One, I was talking to a buddy this morning, is one, I'm very average, so I don't want to hurt anybody, and I don't want to hurt myself. So I would go out every day if it was just me out in the water, but I don't want to hurt myself or anybody else, because obviously what I do, I'm a little old to recover from all that stuff. And then it's tough to be on the road 30-something weeks a year and then get home and tell the wife that I can go out surfing in the morning. That wouldn't go over very well.
Are you playing Hawaii this year?
I'm not sure if I am yet. Are you going over there?
I might be going over there. If I go, we'll go for a surf.
All right.
That's how I smacked my head up the other day. 2 foot and pumping. Head butted myself like an idiot.
On the sand or no reef?
No, I hit my head. I hit my board.
Oh, you hit the board.
It was like literally 2 foot, and it was just me and my housemate. It was shit, like completely just terrible waves. So I was like, we'll go out. We took our leashes off and we were just dicking around and trying to do kick flips and kicking our board away. And I got up and then but
board one.
Got me. I have face for radio now. So you just said the Tony Hawk thing.
Yeah.
How much did you ever get to like hang with him, or is he a dude that, because like, do you have, I guess, outside golf influences that you kind of grew up and hang out with and that sort of thing?
I never hung out with him at all. Besides, I mean, my mom has old video of us with one of those big VHS cameras on her shoulder coming to the skate park one day. But I mean, I vividly remember him, Christian Asoy. I mean, those guys used to rip it down in Del Mar. I mean, it was a lot of fun. This is before those guys were even those guys, and it was fun to be around. I remember he'll never remember that. There's this place called the Keyhole, which was the big pool at Del Mar, and I was, like I said, I was young, 8 to 10 years old, and I wanted to drop in. I kept sitting there, but the people always going real fast, and I was real timid. One time, Tony was right next to me, and he's like, "All right, everybody stop. This kid's going in." And like, I mean, I'll never forget. I was young, but it's like young kids in golf and he'll never
like
remember.
Me walking to East Lake.
Yeah, he'll never remember doing that for a kid. It was just sort of nature, but I'll never forget it. And it's cool stuff like that. I mean, you knew who Tony Hawk was, but he was probably only 15 at the, not even that old also at the time. And it's just something that stuck with me forever. I mean, I'm a huge skate fan, I'm a huge Tony Hawk fan, and that's one of my memories about him.
It must have been a pretty rad time. Like the time you grew up in San Diego was the birth of skate and surf culture.
Literally.
So was it must have been cool to grow up in the era where everything was born. That literally an industry was created and a vibe, like that vibe is known globally. That California early 80s, 80s, 90s kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know any better because we were growing up in it. We were part of it, and the language, the trends of clothing, so on and so forth. I mean, I remember going to the GNS factory and getting extra boards that were supposedly rejects, and just, I mean, we used to rip through boards. I mean, it was a lot of fun going to do that stuff, and like you said, it was the birthplace. And I mean, the factories were here. Everything was made here in America. I mean, I'm sure it's all not made here any longer, but it's something I remember as a kid being able to go to those things, and I mean, supported that culture for sure.
When you think about it, so Ricky does the flat rim, he does like the crazy colors, he does the high tops. He kind of had the balls to be one of the first dudes to go like, well, this is my influence. So, and he just run it into golf. When you went pro, did you have a thought to try and bring that surfer vibe, or did you feel more pressured to kind of just fit in with it? Like, was it a different time on tour when you came on? And like, if you look back at what Ricky did, do you think that you could have done a similar thing with like the surf kind of vibe, and it was just a different time, so where it wouldn't work out?
It's funny. I've never really thought of it, but it's fun just thinking right now. Is I went to college and my golf coach was very strict. You had to have short hair. You had to wear coat and tie when we traveled, so on and so forth. The golf culture, and which was great, which I think is very important. But when I got out and I had the long hair, and I would say I sort of did what Ricky did, but I guess I didn't have the golf game to go along with it at that point. Ricky sort of
and I think social media wasn't there either.
Exactly. If the media didn't cover you, you didn't have any media. So exactly, you didn't have the social media. And Wasserman and his agency's done an amazing job for Ricky. I think I sort of did. I want to say I had the flat brim and the long hair before Ricky had it, before he was on tour, but he had the game to sort of broadcast it. So I've sort of I'm the old guy now, so I don't have the long hair, and I sort of rock a half flat bill brim, and I still have the surf and skate vibe in me. Just don't showcase it quite like I used to.
Yeah, I mean, if the golf part of this conversation was removed and I didn't know you were a golfer, you could easily pass as an old skate dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, you've definitely got that vibe, but I just think it's interesting the time, and like you said, I guess, Ricky's game is probably like the biggest factor in it, that he went out and he was one of the dudes straight away. But yeah, it's, I guess too, the social media thing. Like
in golf, maybe wasn't ready for that at the time.
Exactly.
When I was going through it.
Yeah.
And I think through the Tiger sort of opened that up for him, to other generations, other people watching the game of golf, to have the ability to do what he did. I mean, Puma really wasn't even in the game of golf when
not at all, huh?
When he came around, and they marketed him and they made him a superstar. There's no question, and he made Puma brand relevant in the game of golf.
What's it like for you now, as one of, like, you're not old, but one of the older dudes?
I am old.
In comparison. I can't be like, what's it like being old?
It's great because I still have a job and I'm still playing good golf, so it's good to be the old guy. But still feel young at heart. I love playing practice round with those young guys and talking more shit to them than they can even handle. And
I feel like your shit talk game is probably better than theirs. Like,
well, I'm more experienced, so I can't beat them at a lot of things, but shit talking I probably still can. So no, it's young to get those young, or it's fun to get those young guys. Just their enthusiasm, the way they play golf, and the charisma they portray on the golf course, and I try to feed off that when I go and play with them. And being old, being 40, and being out there, you sort of get in a rut sometimes. So it's nice to play with those young guys and get some good mojo going.
One of my favorite moments. Well, you've actually got one of my favorite moments. This is the first episode of the podcast. We'll get to that in a sec. One of my favorite moments from this year is Jordan grabbing a club off Grella and going, I'm going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
And then he gets the club and then he goes, just step back and watch this. And it goes to 4 feet. And it's just Mr. Impossible.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be able to hit a golf shot like that in a tournament like, I second guess the shit I do on a golf course with no one watching and just like gonna shoot an 81.
Yeah.
So like, to have the balls with all those, like, those I think people don't realize that your angle of what you're seeing when those cameras are there, like, they're from me to you away in your golf swing.
Yeah.
I don't think people really factor that. Like, if their friend was standing with an iPhone this close to
They'd be
their
freaking out.
backswing, they'd be shitting.
Yeah.
So then, like, Jordan Spieth is going to pull that shot out, and then your moment, it's one of the top 3 moments of the year. I can't remember what tournament it was.
Akron. It was Bridgestone. Yep.
You know what I'm about to say.
The par 5. Yep.
How good was that? Like, because to me, the thing that I love, or it's a thing that's driving sport forward right now, and it goes back to what we're saying with social media, is it's all about moments that can fit in a minute Instagram video.
Yep.
And you gave us a moment that could fit in a minute Instagram video. So it's like, yeah, I mean, aside from that being one of the best moments, let's actually break that down for me before we go. What was the thought process there? Because that takes nuts.
Yeah, you know, the week prior, I'd lost in a playoff in Canada. And then
that's right. That's kind of set it up.
Yeah, and then we were at Bridgestone, and it's a World Golf Championship. I'm playing good, and I was on, say, second or third to last group, and playing well. And I was in a situation on a par 5, and Hideki Matsuyama started making some birdies, and I think he had a 3-shot lead, and I had 3 holes to play, and I didn't see Hideki going backwards, which you should never do. So I figured I had to birdie the last 3 holes or make it. I had to play the last 3 under to have a chance.
So an eagle helps that course.
An eagle helps out big time. But that being said, this par 5 strategically, you don't go for it because it's virtually impossible to hit the green, how shallow the green is, so on and so forth on the downslope, and it's just not a great percentage play. If I was in the middle of the season, hadn't played great, and was trying to protect some money or so, I would have lay up 100%. But it was one of those, I play golf to win. I don't worry about how much money I make. Now it's nice when said and done how much money I make, but when you're
in the moment.
Yeah, when you're in the moment and at the end of your career, you don't go, oh, I had 14 second places. No, you go, how many wins do you have?
Yeah.
Is the most important thing. So I was trying to win the golf tournament. I was down by 3 and pretty much went for a shot that was my max carry off sort of a funky lie and wasn't very high percentage. I pulled it off and carried the water by about 3 feet, but obviously on TV it portrayed the interaction between my caddy and myself. My caddy didn't like
how it come across.
He didn't like me going for it at the time just because it wasn't a very high percentage play. But it's what they should portray more on the golf course and communication. But it's hard to catch sometimes, and sometimes we don't want what we're saying on TV, and the producers protect us a little bit on that side of it. But it definitely was a great moment, and a lot of people became Charley Hoffman fans after that. Yeah,
for sure. And just like I think that it's relatable because a lot of times, like as a shitty amateur, I'm just gonna send it. Like what I've got nothing on the line, so it's more. I can't really relate to it. I'm going after every single par 5.
Well, that's what I usually do anyway. So laying up's very hard for me. I like going for everything. My career and why I've probably gotten better is I've learned when to be. We call it smart aggressive for the most part. I like being aggressive a lot of time, but you gotta be semi-smart about it and trust the other aspects of your game to be able to succeed.
So that was a full one of those, like I was just saying about the whole moments thing. That was a moment that'll stay, that'll live in internet archives forever. So I think that obviously it's not as important as a win, but if you look at your career in terms of like a brand value, right? So you see like those you say you Google Charley Hoffman net worth, it's probably way off. Maybe it's like $50 million over. But it's like, is it really? Because what's your brand worth? Like your brand is worth more than the actual physical sum of money. So if you can keep adding to that brand, and now this is the day and age where, and that's why Ricky's so valuable. Like he doesn't have a major. But you could argue that his brand is worth more than most golfers.
Oh, 100%.
Is it hard being 40 and trying to get on this social media bandwagon? Because you've got a pretty solid following.
Yeah, you know what? I was against it for a long, long time. I didn't.
So was my dad.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I didn't see that. I didn't want everybody to know what my family was doing or what I was doing or if I was on vacation or if I was working. Or I didn't want anybody to know that. Private. But then all of a sudden you start to see the value in it and for your brand and for the tour and for everything else. My sponsors wanted it more than anything. They wanted me to start doing it. So I started doing it on a limited basis, and then I sort of enjoyed it, doing it. And I don't do a ton of posts, but I enjoy it. I enjoy having fun fun with it, but there's still a side of me that I want to keep somewhat private, and some of those guys don't. I wouldn't want to know. I wouldn't want the world to know what I did on spring break, like
Yeah.
back when they were in the mid-20s. I might not have as many fans, or I might have more. Who knows? That stuff I try to keep on the sort of private side, and those guys showcase it, and then they usually reap the rewards from it because people enjoy seeing what they do. And back to those archives and that shot that I hit, I mean, someone told me from the tour that at the time, and this was not too long ago, was the second biggest hit on the Instagram side for the PGA Tour. The first was Jordan Spieth's hole out, and then mine was second. And I mean, I don't know if that still stands to year and date, but at the time it was. It's pretty crazy.
And you think about, say, Jordan hitting off the practice range at the Open.
Yeah.
Like that's another massive. So it's sort of, obviously it matters that he wins, but there's the economy of golf in terms of wins and dollars. And then there's a totally different economy of golf that is social and that fan interaction. And again, like adding to that kind of imaginary brand wealth. So I think if you're one of those dudes that's bold and can, put yourself out there, then it can pay off bigger than people think.
No question.
With you, a Travis Matthew guy.
No, I used to be. I love the Travis Matthew brand. Good friends of mine. Now Callaway just bought them, but the way they started from ground up, great friends of mine. I still rep their clothes on a casual basis. I've wore Link Soul last year, which is a good local company here in San Diego that John Ashworth started, and another great brand. I like the small niche brands from California, but this year I'm going outside my bubble a little bit with a little bigger brand name with the Shark, my idol growing up in the game of golf. I'm going to wear his clothes this year.
Has that been announced yet, or is that something?
It's something that hasn't been inked on anything yet, but it's probably the direction I'm headed.
So we're breaking some shit.
Yeah, breaking some huge news with a clothing contract for Charley Hoffman.
Damn, son. That's what we're about. We're about exclusives. No, but I was going to say, I was wondering if the Travis Matthew thing would affect Callaway because Titleist because of Callaway. So I wondered if there was any of that. Because, I mean, God, it can get so hard with companies like buying other companies and you sort of, obviously there's a couple options where you would want to go. Like, I love the Link Soul stuff. That stuff's rad. But yeah, I wondered if that was going to be a factor with everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously with what they got, Travis Matthew got paid from Callaway, it's going to be a good thing. And I think it's, for Callaway, a pretty good thing also. But you know what? It's funny. Right now, the CEO of Travis Matthews calling me. That's actually pretty hilarious.
Just answer it. Tell him you're on a podcast. We're talking about it.
That's actually hilarious.
Serendipity.
You know, Travis Matthews, they're a great brand. They started small, a niche here in California that's grown. I mean, and they've into a lifestyle brand, and that's important. And you don't. Like, I don't wear their clothes very rarely to play golf in now. I just wear them to hang out in, and it's a cool brand I enjoy wearing. And I think they're going to try to keep it the same management as far as I know and sort of grow the brand that way and not Callaway. I would say the big corporate companies are not going to try to influence them too much, and I think they'll be successful still.
I was actually just thinking the other day, obviously being an Aussie, Greg Norman, like I'm not a fan of him.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if there was many tour players that were running the Shark, because that's even the logo.
No, there's
sick,
not. There's not a lot of guys doing the Shark clothing. I don't know why that is, but I think they're starting to try to get back into it a little bit more, and maybe that's why they're looking to get old guys. One of the two. That's why they. No, it's a brand that's legendary. That obviously a person my age. That was the Tiger Woods. That he was the man during that period, and. I sort of feel honored to be able to wear his clothing now. Was he still playing a lot or he was winding down when you started? Yeah, I don't think I ever really competed against him at all. I mean, I've been on tour. This is my 13th year, so he was done by then because he ended semi-early.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really play any golf with him.
Have you given much, like it's a full long thing, not like you're close to retirement, but I've been doing a couple podcasts with Red Bull with dudes that have recently retired in their like 27. One of the dude. I don't know if you follow motocross much, but
I try to.
You know Ryan Dungey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did a podcast with Ryan. It hasn't come out yet, but a lot of it was this retirement talk. And he retires so young that, like, most kids, I said, I don't know if he'd even thought about it, but like most kids are getting out of college at 27 if you do a master's or like a doctor or whatever. So you're just about to start your career. And then here's a dude that's done a lifetime of achievement, Hall of Fame career at 27, that age. Yeah. So that's where I feel like golf's probably one of those good sports, because it'd be pretty daunting to be faced with retirement when you've done something so heavily your entire life. Like, have you given much thought to that? Like, are you stoked that you can keep kind of playing?
Well, we're lucky. We don't. I mean, as long as you're healthy and somewhat decent at golf, you can play until you're 60 something. So that doesn't have to cross our mind really. Yeah. Which is nice. Like you said, I mean, back to motocross, good friends with Brock Glover, who was the sort of the first main stage name in Supercross, and then there was McGrath, the sort of my generation I watched, and then there's Carmichael, and it goes on and on. But those guys eventually have to retire because they're not as competitive, because the young guys sort of take over the sport. But golf, you guys got like me and Phil Mickelson on the President's Cup team with a bunch of 20-somethings, and then you got guys playing the senior tour, and Bernard Longer being as good as he's ever been at. Yeah,
he could still be competing on the PGA Tour for sure.
He competed in last year's Masters and for 3 of the rounds. And I mean, it's a game, I guess you really, if you're somewhat competitive, you don't ever have to think about retirement because you got a platform to play for the rest of your career. So I guess we're lucky that I've never really thought about it.
You don't even have to think about it.
I love competing. I love playing golf. I mean, so if I wasn't on the tour, I'd be playing at the money game at the club on Saturdays or do something like that. So it's something I plan on playing for a long, long time and not giving up.
So why do you think then, like just the Greg Norman thing kind of made me think of that. Why did you think that a dude like Greg Norman did retire so young? Did he have injuries and stuff?
No, I think he got some business opportunities, investment. And this is just me thinking. I have no proof or anything behind this. I think he had some opportunities with businesses to make more money on his golf course design side and his yachts and his planes and so on and so forth, that he saw that he could make more money doing that than playing golf. And I don't know what the fallout was with him and the tour, and that I know he proposed the world tour before Tim Fincham did, so I don't know if there was some sort of fallout there between him and the tour where he wouldn't support the tour, but I've never heard anything. That's just me talking and thinking. And I mean, I think he could have been competed for a long, long time, but I think he found other things in his life that sort of made his mind go instead of golf.
Yeah, well, I think that in business especially, like, I feel competitive. Like, I have my own business and you try and build a brand, and it's a career that you're forging in a similar way to, you go after it with the same tenacity as an athlete. Yeah. So I think that, maybe it's just, I'd love to ask him one day, but maybe it's a case that filled that void, or not filled the void, but it took over the competitiveness, because you could be competitive every single day. And you know, some of those, like a dude like Greg Norman, who just shot to the top, and he was a hyper aggressive competitive guy, and maybe that just was the move that.
And he had a huge brand. I mean, he had amazing. Speaking of the clothing, I mean, the Shark brand and logo. I mean, it was the brand. I mean, he had the Golden Bear, he had that stuff, but the Shark was maybe one of the first big brands in the name of golf, and I think he ran with that, with the Reebok side and so on and so forth, and I think that's sort of what drove him and took over the void of not playing golf.
Have you, you said McGrath and that, so you're pretty switched on to that scene. Have you ever played golf with him?
You know, no, I haven't. I know he's a big golfer. I never cross paths. I don't play a ton of golf when I'm home, so that's, everybody's like, why don't we go play? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. So it's tough for me to go out and play a ton of golf when I'm home with guys. I haven't. I have his phone number to call him, but I just don't, like I said, don't play a ton of golf. It's one of those, you need to call me and pry me out to get me out on the golf course when I'm not on traveling on the road, because I play enough golf on the road to not have to play at home. So, but McGrath, I've heard, is a good player. I mean, he lives just down the road from me, and it would actually probably be pretty easy to go play with him.
I think we should make it happen.
We could. Like I said, you're gonna have to pry me out though.
Yeah, hey, I'm down with it. Hey, I just slid into your DMs and we got this going. Exactly. I don't feel like you're that hard to get going. No, but he's definitely he's a good golfer and he's into it. So yeah, I feel like we could make that happen. That'd be a pretty fun little day out. I'm sure you could take some of the King's cash.
As long as Taylor shows up, I'm good to go.
We could invite him. I just love him so much. Like, dude, New York. So we're doing the podcast thing. It's like we got all this equipment. We dragged like way more stuff than we have here.
Yeah.
We dragged it all onto a yacht, and he was just sending it the whole time. And he had no voice for the podcast. Yeah. It was like, that's the reason we went there.
Yeah, that sounds like something he'd do.
Oh, and not to mention, so I played Ridgewood on the Friday, which is first Ryder Cup. Yes. Like it's awesome. I didn't even want to take a divot.
Yeah,
I was for 8 holes. I don't think I hit the turf.
Yeah,
and I had Taylor's tee time, and he just sent it so hard. And
he didn't even show.
Yeah, he didn't show, and I said, so the boys are like, hey, Jace, just jump in your golf gear. We're leaving at 5. And I got pretty drunk as well that night, but I just managed to just keep it on. Yeah. I probably I did go too far. I threw up on the golf course. So,
you didn't take a divot, but you laid some different kind of fertilizer on the green.
Yeah, I was doing my bit to conserve. But we went up to I think it was on the 14th tee, and have you played there?
Yeah, we have a FedEx Cup event there every few years.
Yeah, what's the long downhill par 3? It must be 13, I guess. And it's like a 230. It was that day. It was like 235 yards. So then I hit, and then I come up short, and I hit a pretty solid. I teed off with my hybrid, and then I just kept it. I just walked down the fairway because I was like, man, I don't want to be in the golf cart. I could go at any moment. So I kept my hybrid. I played out the whole hole. Jeremy's like, do you want me to grab my putter? And I was like, nah, man, don't worry about it. So I chipped up. I got it super close, made bogey, dropped my club on the green. And I just walked like the saddest, like a dog that had just been yelled at.
How'd you make it for 14 holes?
Dude, I don't know. I played bad golf. Like, I wouldn't even say if what I was playing was called golf. Because I've only got one kidney, so I get these like savage hangovers, no matter how much I drink. And so I was just like, I was powering through. I was like, come on, man, mind over matter. You're at Ridgewood. I was trying to just keep giving myself perspective of the situation that I was in. And then by that I was like, man, it's gonna be. You're gonna feel better by throwing up. So then I went to the bathroom, threw up, and I come out. And Sully, who
very civilized. You're out in the middle of the golf course in the woods. You go to the bathroom.
Yeah, well, it was right. I think it was one of those things where it wasn't really in my mind until I saw a place to spew and no one was going to see me. And then as soon as I saw that bathroom from the top of the hill, I was playing with Sully, who got us in here. He's one of the Wasserman dudes, biggest legend of all time. And I walked down. I had a chance at a hero moment. I walked out of the thing. The boys were on the tee box. And my eyes were just so red. Like, you know when you're just heaving and your eyes are about to pop out of your head. So I had that going on. And then Sully's like, oh, just come hit from where we're at. And I was like, nah. And I was like, I grabbed my driver and I walked over with my ball. I went, watch this shit. And I just I hit the ground, drop kicked it, and it went up into the rough. And I was just like, fuck, this is not my day at all. And then I think I hit the best bunker shot of my entire life. I had like a 45-yard bunker shot, and I hit it past the hole and actually spun it back. I was just like, that was on 18.
That was your only highlight of the day.
The only highlight was the last shot I hit, and then I made the putt. Everyone made the putt actually on the 18th.
Why didn't you just get right back into it? Why didn't you just start drinking on the fifth hole to get it going again?
I should have done that. I really should have done it, but I was.
That's what a veteran would have done.
Yeah. No, I was just scared. I was just scared. But that course, man, like that actually playing that course gave me a new respect for what you guys do. Because we honestly don't play the same game. Well, imagine
playing that golf course with 6 inches or 4 to 6 inches of rough, which is usually out there. That's also the thing that people don't understand is how long the rough usually is for us out there.
Yeah, and that's like the rough was long. It wouldn't have been long like what you guys play at. But that's what I was telling friends of mine when I got back. They were like, how was the course or whatever. I was like, man, the rough's a shot. for
Yeah.
me. It's
Yeah.
a shot every hole. And I was in the rough on almost every hole. So it's like people don't get it. And then the other thing that got me is around the greens, it's impossibly short. So I've never really been a dude to be like, oh, I care about the bounce of my golf club.
Yeah. Oh, you have to, yeah.
Until I played there. Because the golf that I'm playing isn't the golf that you're playing.
It's not sitting up on a little cushy lie. It's a nasty little shot that you wonder why we chunk one every once in a while.
Dude, the fact that, and it's like it's got arms. And it's just like these tiny little arms that wants to hang on to your golf club.
Yeah.
And I had no perspective of, I've never played on a course that costs $750,000 to be a member.
Yeah.
So I just didn't have the perspective of how difficult it really was around the greens. So when, you get dudes like yourself, you get Phil, like those guys that are just so good around the greens.
Yeah.
They're not playing munis. It's a lot easier to be Phil Mickelson at Goat Hill as opposed to Ridgewood.
Yeah.
So just the respect level went through the roof. But what's the most hungover you've ever played a PGA Tour round? Are you comfortable to say that?
I've never been extremely hungover.
Come on, Charlie. Come on.
No, I wish I could say extremely hungover, but no. We play for so much money nowadays.
Yeah.
You can't give anybody an edge. I mean, there might have been a Sunday, the lack of sleep than hungover. You might hang out with someone till whatever, but you really can't give an edge to anybody anymore. I'm hard pressed to see anybody that says they've been extremely hungover on the golf course.
Except for maybe John Daly.
Well, that's a different generation. That's a different time. He was playing for a different amount of money and different. That was a different era. And back in the day, that's what those guys did, was hung out with sponsors, hung out with people. That's how they made money, was the network with those guys and play hungover sometimes, because they'd make more money on the outing the next Monday for the guy, or if they did something than they did during a tournament. So this day and age, you make so much money on the golf course. Majority of the guys are making more money on the golf course than they are making off. There's obviously the superstars are making more money off the golf course, but you just can't any longer. Not to mention with social media, and so they're like, oh, true. Hoffman's out until midnight, this and that. It's hard to be too hungover. Like I said, the last 7 years, I've traveled with my family week in and week out. Now I like to go out and have a good time, but it's
time and a place.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for it, and the tour is usually not that time and a place.
What would you change about the tour right now, or is it moving in a direction that like you are stoked on?
Yeah, you know what? I'm lucky enough to be on the board of the PGA Tour, so have some sort of influence on the way the tour is going. And there's some smart people making some great decisions for the PGA Tour. I think, like, the question for everybody is, where's the media going? Where are we going to, TV-wise? We're talking about Instagram and views and so on and so forth. And, you could argue Instagram and Twitter have driven SportsCenter out of business. I don't watch SportsCenter for highlights anymore. I look at my phone when I get up. That's where I get all my highlights from, and I look at scores on my phone. I used to be the guy that watched SportsCenter 3 times in the morning to get all the highlights and over again. And we got live content, which is great on TV. Not all other sports have year-round live content, and we have that, and that puts us in a great position. But we don't know where it's going to. Are we going to?
It's kind of like a new frontier. Yeah, almost,
are we going to have pay-per-view of pretty much everything, and you can watch every hole? Are you going to do this? And I think that's where's golf going to go there. On the media side, and I think that's all sports. For that being said, everybody has their own network. We don't, as of yet. We may. We have our golf channel, but we don't own it.
Yeah.
Why NFL and the Major League Baseball and soccer and all those other sports have their own channel. And you know what? I see the positives. I see the negatives. And our PGA Tour live stuff, the early round coverage stuff, I think has been fairly successful. It hasn't been great, but I think it's a platform that we're probably going to expand on and get better at. And I think golf's in a great spot. We have, like I said earlier, we've got some great young kids that are great ambassadors for the game of golf, and we're going in the right direction on that side. We conduct ourselves in the right way where major corporate sponsors want to be a part of us. On the PGA Tour side and in the entertainment side, I think we're doing good, but I think we need to work on growing the game a little bit more than we have in the past.
Well, I think that's honestly my mission with Fader and like the hole-in-one thing that I suggest. Like, I come from motocross. That was my bread and butter. I made a career over the last 10 years of traveling the world, filming the best dudes, doing the craziest stuff. So I feel like I've got a perspective that maybe people that are in golf forever don't have. And I think that the whole reason this Fader Golf thing came about is basically I was making this stuff for a sport I'd kind of moved on from. I'd done the motocross thing my whole life. I raced from a kid. It was my dad race. That's all I did. So I was doing this content and people were pumped on the stuff we were making. It's getting millions of views. But it's like I'd moved past the sport to where I wanted to watch what I made in golf. Yeah. And it wasn't there. So that kind of drove me now. And I mean, it's now in the position of like actually trying to make it happen. It's not as easy as in my mind, I've got a trillion ideas, but it's like, how do it's a process. It's a process to get people on board. And then, you doing this podcast then opens up, maybe another dude like, I enjoyed Charley's talk, and maybe, so it's, the hole-in-one thing, that's going to be super fun. Yeah. Like, to me, that's when I go play golf with my friends, to get on the first tee and give them shit.
That's the best part.
So that's the
whole point of golf.
Let's just not leave. You know what I mean? What if we just had chairs and some microphones and we filmed it like a PGA Tour hole and we just didn't leave? That's my mentality.
And just have the Joe Schmo public come through every hole.
Dude, and that's what we were saying.
They wouldn't know what to do though.
No, so we were talking to Palmer Valley about it, and they're like, because they said they'd shut the whole thing down for that hole. Yeah. And I was like, maybe we just let them come through.
Not let them know what's going on.
Yeah, just be like, oh no, we're not filming. Or we'd say, no, we're filming. Yeah. And then watch the shittest tee shots you've ever seen. Because I want people to have the perspective of, again, like I said before, how close the camera is. Because I just think it's so, well, especially with social media, there's so many people that can just say whatever they want. Like, oh, that was shit. What a shit swing. Or like, you fucking lifted your head, something crazy.
And they can't do a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and there's no like accountability for them, but for you, it's like a real comment that someone's made about you kind of thing. Yeah. So I just thought it'd be so funny to have these punters go through and like, especially if you're there, and be like, hit him straight, mate. You know what I mean?
It would be fun.
But that's the kind of,
probably getting some heated discussions with a few people too.
Dude, for sure. Bring it on. But that's where my head is at with trying to do all of this, because it's just, I've got a capability to make this kind of content. Like, we have my background is all this film production stuff, so we have everything. And there's not, I think that's like a bit of a step ahead where it's, some random guy could come in. Plus we've got the contact with Red Bull and different things like that. So it's like, I'm excited that, guys like yourself are willing to sit down and do, chuck some headphones on and talk into a microphone for an hour, because it's like it's different. It's not the same kind of thing, and you can sort of tell your story in a longer format, as opposed to that
little minute tidbits on Instagram or Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, and it's just that, I mean, you put on a voice when you're on TV and it's live and you got the mic and it's back and forth and it's right after. It's not a real interaction. No. You know what I mean? It's not a real conversation as such. And I think that's how you get to know someone, is by sitting and talking to them. So what are some of the things that you guys are talking about trying to do then? How did the board thing come about? I didn't know you were on the board of the tour.
Long story short, I think I was the guy that would voice my opinion about BS that I didn't like with the tour, and had always sort of maybe had an idea when I was younger, and asked questions of why do we do it this way and so forth. And then we come to it's called the PAC, which is Player Advisory Council, which I think 12 guys are on it or something like that. And then you get elected by your peers or asked by the tour to be part of that PAC, which then reports to the board. So after X amount of years of doing that and sort of seeing how the tour runs and so on and so forth, the tour came to me and asked me if I was interested in running for a board position. It's and then you're elected by your peers. So it's a vote thing that goes on, and they elected me to sort of represent their views. That's sort of my job, is to represent the views of the players to the board, which consists of a bunch of people, or four executive guys. One is Randall Stevens from CEO of AT&T. I mean, there's some powerful people on this board, and a lot smarter than I am.
Smart dudes.
Yeah. So we just relay the players' perspectives, and now the financial side and all that stuff, that they do their own thing.
Yeah.
Players sort of stay out of that. But you know what? It's been a great experience. Last year was my first year of a 3-year term, and it's been good to see how far forward the PGA Tour does look. And like I said, the media side is, I think, what we're looking more and more into, because no one knows.
Yeah.
No one has the answer. I mean, for a bunch of years, you knew what the TV contracts, we would do X amount, a bunch of year contracts, and now do we want to do that? Where's it going to go? And the only thing we know is live content on TV still sells. People still watch it. Everything else, they're getting on podcasts, Instagram. I mean, you're getting your content on different areas than TV. And that's why we're in a very good spot, because we have a lot of live content. But we also know that we need to grow on the other side, because our Instagram and social media side is very, very low on the PGA Tour. I mean, the World Surfing League has more followers than the PGA Tour, which, I mean, when you think of the brand versus, I mean, that's shocking when it's said and done. But you can get your content for the World Surfing League on Twitter or on Instagram. You don't get it on the major network, but we can still have those people follow golf. But that sort of shows the sort of the demographic that golfers is older, not that tied in with technology. But the reality is we're moving younger, and we need to incorporate those younger generation people and younger fans of golf. And we're working. We're going to try, and probably not going to get it right the first time, and we'll learn from it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think, half the battle is just knowing that it's a direction you need to go.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that you guys can actually admit that, this is something that we kind of want to do is really half the battle. Like, you get, especially golf has such a stereotype around it. And I think that anytime you have that, and like some sport, you look at skating. Skating has a stereotype. Yeah. And it wasn't until like a Tony Hawk came along, he kind of changed that stereotype. Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard to you get labeled, and then that's what you do. You're a rich white kid, you play golf. Or if you're a broke bum in Carlsbad, you surf and skate and you don't have a job. So, I mean, everyone has those kind of stereotypes. But nowadays, and it's just it's taking advantage of the polarizing figures in these sports, like what Tony Hawk did, what Kelly Slater did with surfing. So I think that, and golf has those polarizing dudes, like you mentioned, the Jordan thing. One of the things that kind of frustrates me a bit is that, and this is where I think the podcast thing is good. It's not like a super negative deal, but there's more depth than what gets reported. And I get it in a way, but like, how many times, honestly, have you heard the broadcast team say that Justin Thomas is 145 pounds?
I don't watch.
Can we put it to bed? Is it done?
He weighs 145 and hits at 345. Yeah.
And did you know? You might not know this. They're all friends. Jordan, Ricky, and like far out. Yeah. Can we like? There's got to be more depth. So that's one of my things. Is like, how do we bring this depth across to people? Because it's so it's like telling a knock joke if you're a stand-up comedian. Yeah. It's like, I feel like we have to, because again, that's how you get guys out of the stereotype, is by taking advantage of like the polarizing dudes, which there's enough of them. Like even Phil's a polarizing dude.
It's one of those things. I think the tour is very protective of their image. Yeah. Which is why sort of where they're at. So there's a fine line we have to walk of letting information out, but not letting too much information out to where it would hurt the image of the tour. Now, you never know. That image you might want to soften it up a little bit. I don't know the answer to that, but I think the tour has a lot of influence on what goes on that TV.
Yeah. And I'm sure it does, for sure.
And I think they're very conservative. It's a very conservative sport when it's said and done, and I think that's just sort of how it's been broadcast. I mean, I'm not saying it's good or bad.
Yeah.
I do agree with you, but would it opening up a little bit hurt our image and then hurt our corporate sponsors, which the reality is the most important thing to our sport is our corporate sponsors, because without corporate sponsors we don't play for the amount of money. But without TV and people watching TV, we don't play that because the corporate then it doesn't want to be a part of it. So it's a very fine line.
It's a full balancing act that you guys have to do for sure. But I think that at some point the guys have to go like, all right.
But I think that's what
give that little bit of an inch and see how it kind of. You don't have to go full. Like we don't need to go Kenny Powers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But I think that's why our sport's so great right now is with Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat. Is we can display whatever you want. You actually can get that out faster than the PGA Tour can to more people. So I think we're lucky to have a format, and I think you're obviously seeing more and more personalities because of their own doing or their agency getting them out more. So I don't know if the tour is really that interested in even getting it out.
Yeah, because the other guys can do it.
You can do it. So which I think is good because you control that content directly. I mean, no one else. I mean, you push send on that phone and it's out there. So you actually control. You got to think a little bit before you put something out there. But that's a whole nother story. But I think it's in a good spot getting content out there. But I think for the mainstream broadcast network TV, I don't see in the near future it changing any too much.
Do you follow on Instagram Bob Emery?
No.
I'll tag you in one of his things. So he does these vulgar and hilarious. Like he's got a really good commentator's voice, and man, his shit is hilarious. So it's like
golf based or anything based?
No, he mainly does NFL stuff.
Okay.
So I'll look it up real quick to try and I don't know. It's probably a lot of swearing in there. But like he just does the funniest stuff. So I guess my point is, and No Laying Up kind of did it. Like, do you listen to those dudes or whatever? So they kind of come in pretty hot and we're calling dudes out. And then I think that's cool for the sport.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to look this up. It's bloody awesome. I think because you're a football fan.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I think you'll get a kick.
A little less than I was in the last few years, but now that San Diego doesn't have a team, that's a different story.
Oh man, how butthurt are you about that?
A little bit. There's no question. I understand the business, but as an NFL fan,
give that a listen.
Yeah. You wouldn't know this guy isn't actually doing the podcast.
Yeah, like that's it. So I guess my point with that is the fact that like if you were to do that in golf, you can't really stop that.
No, you can't.
You know what I mean? Like, because it's out there. It's in social media land, like you said, once you press send. So, I mean, but then that is something where obviously you can't broadcast that because of, he's dropping F-bombs and stuff in there. But that dude is bringing this crazy new cool way of looking at it to where, like, the NFL could do something with that dude. And benefit from it. But it'd be ballsy to get that guy to do it. They could control the content and stuff like that, but that gets like, I love that. I don't search many dudes' pages, but after every weekend when there's been football games on, I actually search out his thing and I'm actively looking at all of his posts, which I never do that.
That's cool.
So it's like that, you can kind of, I guess, in a way, I get why the tour would be super controlling of their image, because you've got these rogues that can do whatever they want with your content, and you don't really have too much. What are you going to do? Like, how do you stop a dude from saying? That's one of the good things about America, right? Is the free speech. So it's definitely, it would definitely have to be a weird time.
Like I said, I think there's a way to get that content out now, and the regular media probably
they're not gonna like Bob Emery.
No,
but how funny is it? Like,
but that's great. You should not have any of that. And, and that's good for the NFL too, because you're watching and looking. I mean, you're still watching the NFL, but just in a different way. And that's what's killed ESPN. That stuff like that right there is way funnier than. That's why Stuart Scott and those guys were awesome because they sort of pushed the edge. But now there's guys even going further over the edge and making it more funny, and because they have the ability and they now have the platform to be able to do it also.
And it's such a hard thing because, like, dude saying Antonio Brown just got kicked in the fucking mouth.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Like, that's way funnier than
Yeah.
saying he got kicked in the
Yeah.
mouth. And
Yeah.
it's sort of like, it's such a hard balance to make. Like, because there is lines, but it's like, that's super funny what that dude just said.
Yeah.
So, what time are we running here?
I don't know. You're the one with the schedule.
I think how much time you got? I think we'll probably be going for like an hour, maybe, I guess.
Probably more than an hour if I had to. Who knows? Time flies when you're having fun, right?
It goes quick, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, you don't realize, because there's not, like, I always say this to people, there's not many times where, because you've got the headphones on, it's not like you can even hear conversations in the door. Like, you can't, the distractions are so minimal that it kind of just cruises along. So what have you got coming up? I know you got the Goat Hill thing. Yeah. So do you want to talk about the Goat Hill?
Yeah, no, this is a cool little thing. Goat Hill, we're doing, let me get the exact specifics here. Xander Schauffele, I still might not pronounce his name. Schauffele, whatever. However pronounced it. Ended up being a good friend of mine.
Caddy, like.
He for a rookie, he played all right. I mean,
hey, I didn't walk with Xander.
You know, Xander went from a guy that was barely getting starts at the beginning of the year out of the web category, and then to a guy that won twice and won a tour championship. Obviously, one of the better rookie years ever by anybody. And the local San Diego kid here went to San Diego State, and then Chris Riley, college friend of mine that I played with, a Ryder Cupper, and Dean Wilson, who played on tour and won. We're all doing a charity event. It's called the Wishbone Brawl. It is going to be at Goat Hill on Saturday, November 25th. So we're going to sort of take over that skins game time. No, no, it's a good fun gig for Ryan Donovan's daughter has a small issue. I'd be lying if I knew the exact specifics. I think his daughter's around 5 and has some issues, and we're going to try to raise a bunch of money for some bills and expenses that they're going through. And it's first and foremost, it's going to be a great, fun event, and we're going to use persimmon woods.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think we're using our same normal irons we play with, and so, but more just the wood side of it. We're going to use persimmon and just going to go out there and have fun and have a good little match. Myself and Chris Riley are taking on Xander and Dean, and Matt Janella from Golf Channel is going to come out there and sort of host a clinic and be around. And if anybody's around town of Oceanside or San Diego during the holidays, even LA area, can drive down and enjoy the day. I mean, everything that we're making is going to this Ryan Donovan's daughter's fund, and it's going to go to a good spot and help a child that needs it.
How good is what John Ashworth did with Goat Hill? I love that. I love his brand. The dude just has taste and style in general, so that helps across the board. Yeah. But what he did, the campaign of Save the Goat and that whole thing, that is such a modern day success story in golf. And in a time, like we just said, that golf's struggling right now. Yeah. But there's a dude that had some balls and really went out, and the list of guys that came on board to try and save that little muni, like they've created a culture down there.
Yeah, you know, it's way golf should be. It's a good hang. It's a nice place to go and chill and just hang with normal Joe Schmo that has a 9-to-5 job that loves to get out in the afternoon and play golf and on a fun little golf course. I mean, it's not to say you can't play it as an average golfer, but you need to be pretty good to play that little track. I mean, it's small greens. I mean, they're hard to hit with a lot of movement. I mean, it's a very challenging golf course. I wouldn't tell you if you've never played golf to go out there and play, because it'd be very challenging. But it's a fun golf course, great vibe. I mean, like you said, John Ashworth has a visionary and has an artistic side to him that in golf is probably not matched by anybody. And he just loves it. He loves the artistic side. I can't wait to go out there. They're just starting a new kids area. I think there's like 3 holes or something that they just added out there that is only for kids, and I think you have to be with a child to even go out and play the 3 holes. So you as a father could go out there with a son or daughter and play, but you know, just a group of guys can't go out there and play, which is a cool concept. And I think if I was a kid, you get some sense of ownership of the golf course, and I think it's a really cool, great idea. And like you said, it's a fun place to hang out and play golf and just chill.
And you can really see the impact that it's had with like the kids that go and like the teenage kind of guy. And Oceanside's a really rad town. I think Oceanside's one of the more underrated beach town.
It's back to it's not touched.
Yeah.
It's still old. It's still old beach town. I mean, and it's sort of like back when I grew up, like the Pacific Beach area or whatever. It's sort of a place where people just wanted to hang out, and I wouldn't say not have a lot of drive, but just happy with where they're at in life and enjoying the beach vibe. And that's what Oceanside still has, and that's what this golf course has. And it's a great spot. And what he's done with the Caddy Fund and getting some inner city kids out there playing golf and practicing, it's something. Anything that you can get the kids off the street and doing something good instead of bad is something special. I know my foundation, Pro Kids Golf, has a place in Oceanside. You can also go do it and hang out. But Oceanside's a town that's somewhat
underdeveloped, low income.
Low income, underdeveloped. And Ashworth has his Goat Hill. We have our Pro Kids Golf down there also, and it's turned into great success stories, both of them. And without the visions of those people, and those kids would be on the street somewhere doing something they're not supposed to. Instead, they're out there learning golf. And in my case, the place where we go is they can go there for tutoring and school work also. And it's a place that is a safe haven.
And so I guess there's with what you said at the start of this, that you really aren't going and playing much golf. So the fact that the GOAT will get one of the best players in the modern game to go and play golf with the Persimmon Wood, like that's outside of the scope of what you have to do as a professional athlete. And I think it says a lot about yourself for one, but then more about the vibe that Ashworth's created, that a guy like you is going to want to go get in his car, drive and hit some wooden clubs for that. You know what I mean? It speaks to what he's created. Yeah.
I mean, John's, anybody everybody that deals with John, he's an amazing person. And you know what, it's easy when there's good charities and good reason. It's not hard for me to get out of bed and do something to make a difference in this world. I'm lucky enough that I have the platform and have the ability to sort of change a person's life or help somebody out by raising some money. And that I'm very lucky. I grew up wanting to be a professional golfer, loved golf from a young age, but I never dreamed I'd be able to give back in the way I do. And I love using the platform that I have and having the ability to give back. And that's what makes my wife and our family happier than winning any golf tournaments or playing the President's Cup, is being able to give back to the community in which you live in. And we're lucky enough to be able to do that. And this is one of those situations at Goat Hill in which we're doing. So we'll wrap it up. I want to give you a chance to tell everybody about them. Like, you've got a few different things that you got going on charity-wise. So you got Charley Hoffman Foundation. So for people that might listen to this and want to donate or get involved, I guess give us some info on how people can get involved with the charity. Yeah. The Charley Hoffman Foundation was started probably 9 years ago. My wife and I did a tournament for San Diego Junior Golf here, and we, at the end of it, we're like, that's amazing. We raised some money for junior golf, and we go, how do we make this better? And we're like, let's start a foundation, and actually, not that we don't believe in San Diego Junior Golf, how do we make more of a difference than junior golf? So we sat down and go, first and foremost, you need to believe in your product that you're going to put out there. So what's a charity that you really want to base your foundation off as? And for us, it was cystic fibrosis, because my brother wife lost two sisters to cystic fibrosis, so that's sort of how it started. So cystic fibrosis is a charity that our foundation supports, and then obviously San Diego Junior Golf. I wouldn't be here doing what I do without junior golf. And then Pro Kids Golf, which I sort of explained, in Oceanside and in downtown or in inner city San Diego. There's two areas that Pro Kids now runs their programs from. And you know what, it's awesome to be able to give back to San Diego. But then we lived in Las Vegas for 20 years, from 95 to last year. And so we started a tournament in Las Vegas, and we did an event there. And we pretty much same pro-am party and so on and so forth. So we support different charities I named off earlier. Goody Two Shoes, cystic fibrosis, juvenile diabetes, Shriners Hospital, and Blessing in the Backpack there in Las Vegas. We sort of got out of the golf theme because we were golf heavy in San Diego. So in Vegas, we went some feel good stories that we believed in, and those are the charities we support in Las Vegas. But in general, if you want to support the Charley Hoffman Foundation, you can go to my website, give you more information, charleyhoffman.com. And we do a great event the week of it's now the Farmers Insurance Open. We do a concert up, a belly up, usually get a great guy. Kelly James has played every year we've done
Kelly has been on the podcast.
Yeah.
Massive Charley Hoffman fan.
Kelly, I don't want to say I gave him his birth in golf.
No,
but
he said on the podcast, I'll tag you, and he said that Charley was the reason that my whole thing started, which was cool to hear.
Yeah, so long story short, Kelly, I met him at an Oakley party, which are some of the best, back in the day was some of the best parties around, and he was playing, him and his brother, just in an acoustic set, and I literally go to him, I have a foundation event this weekend. Would you be interested in going? And he's like, heck yeah. And I mean, this is before he's playing frat parties and so on and so forth. So he went and did that. He did a bunch of my stuff for the last 10 years, and he does that and met a lot of content. So at the Belly Up, we do this concert. I mean, last year we had Kelly, obviously, and then we had Chris Daughtry, and we've had other acts. I mean, we do a bunch of good auction stuff, and then some good live music and drinks. It's a lot of fun. I want the charity stuff to be fun. I mean, there's enough of these feel good and heartwarming things that you can go to, which are necessary and great. But I want mine to be way more relaxed, interactive and fun. And then we do that night, and then we go do the Pro-Am at Torrey Pines North Course that Monday at the Farmers Insurance Open. Sort of the same gig in Vegas. But I'm lucky enough to be able to use my platform to raise a bunch of money. We've raised nearly $2 million now for both cities, and I mean, that's real money when you sit back and think about it. And it's something, like I said, I didn't think I'd ever be able to raise money for. I didn't grow up wealthy where I'd be able to give a bunch of money back, but now being able to do that and is a great feeling. Like I said earlier, being able to give back to the Direct Impact Fund in Vegas. It's fun being able to give back, and it makes you feel warm inside, and knowing you're changing people's lives and making a difference. Was
there an event that maybe happened to you when you were a kid that gave you this drive to really want to do it?
No, I don't think so. I think just playing the PGA Tour and having a great wife with great ideas is sort of the reason behind it. And I when it first started, my wife and I don't ever fight, but some of our biggest fights were trying to figure out how this is all going to happen, because we believe so much in it and we had so much passion for it. And that's sort of still how we have someone that runs it for us now, but we still have a lot of passion for our foundation. And I don't think, unless you have a passion for it, it will succeed, because people will see your passion and want to help you out also.
All right, cool. Well, have you enjoyed the first podcast experience?
This is awesome.
All right, sweet. Well, you're welcome back anytime.
Right.
So
I'm in.
And we'll definitely make one of these hole-in-one things. We'll reach out to McGrath. We'll try and get the McGrath. I'd like to see that happen. And yeah, I super appreciate the time, especially on like crazy short notice. So.
Yeah, no, I work, like I said, I work good on short notice. Planning, I live by the theory: the more you plan, because you always got to change your plans. So I like short notice. I'm
definitely like, it stresses me out more to book a flight in advance and like have it on my mind.
I hate it.
Than it does to actually just rock up super late. Like, because then I'm guaranteed, if I book it the day before, I'm guaranteed to be stressed for one day as opposed to over a period of time.
Exactly.
So, all right, well, yeah, appreciate it, man. And we're massive fans, and
we'll do it again.
Make it happen.
Appreciate it.
And if you ever want us to come to any charity events, anything, we'll donate our time, equipment, everything to help you out.
That's awesome. I appreciate it.
No dramas, mate.
Great.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Sick.